All right, Shalom Israel. Welcome back to Wednesday night class. We want to give a shout out and mighty shalom to our brothers and sisters out there streaming wisdom in Norfolk, Virginia, over in Houston, Texas, and also in Rochester, New York. We have brothers out in Guatemala. Shout out and shalom to Cabo in Guatemala. Outside in London. We have brothers in California, in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in Florida. And shout out to everybody that watch online, and shout out to everybody that came in person in class, taking your time out to get this word. Hopefully it edifies the body, edifies the mind, spirits, and souls of Israel and of all the listeners online also across the globe. Shout out to you as well. Shalom to you as well. And shalom just means peace. So when we say shalom, it just means peace. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and get started. I know it's a little, we're going to try to squeeze this in a condensed version. I know normally sometimes class can go 3 hours, but we're going to actually try to condense it down to two hours. The title of the class is called Pride, the Handmaid Snare of Mankind. So the title of the class is called Pride, the Handmaid Snare of Mankind. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First verse, we got brothers ready to go. Is Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha, which is the red book. We're going to go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 37, verse 16, and which would be page 92.
Page 92.
And the Apocrypha.
King James Version.
King James Apocrypha. Alrighty. Let's read that.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 37 and verse 16. Let reason go before every enterprise.
Go ahead.
And counsel before every action.
So the Bible is telling us how important counsel is. It says when you have an enterprise or you have a particular goal or something that you're trying to do, you always want to intertwine counsel, and you want to make sure that you get advice. Counsel is advice. You always want to get advice when you have an enterprise or you're embarking or engaging on something or an endeavor that you're trying to reach. Read it again.
Ecclesiastes 37 and 16. Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action.
It says, and let counsel go before every action. So everything that you do, that you put in motion in life, it's profitable if you get and receive counsel in every action that you do in life.
There's a kind of spiritual design behind it, not some random impulsive decision.
No, not at all. It's not. A lot of times, they say thoughts come to a man's mind in faster than the speed of sound. In milliseconds, we create thoughts, we generate thoughts, but not every thought is a right thought or a proper thought or a good thought. So let's go to Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14, just to expound on this point. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. We do have this on the screen.
Covered. Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 14 reads. Ready?
Everybody get it? Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. Okay. Read that.
Come. Where no counsel is.
It tells you, the Bible tells us that if counsel does not exist, where no counsel is, read.
Where no counsel is,
go ahead.
The people fall.
It says, so if you're endeavoring to do something or trying to accomplish something in life, it says, let counsel go before every action, is what we just previously read in the Apocrypha in Ecclesiastes chapter 37, verse 14, or 16 actually. So he's telling you why it's critical that you get advice. Why is it critical that you don't just take it upon yourself to just make a move on something without bringing in another pair of eyes or another set of ears or eyes on your situation. He says, read it again.
Come. Where no counsel is.
If counsel or advice is not present, read on.
The people fall.
He says the people fall. Read on.
But in the multitude of counselors.
It says, but in the multitude of counselors. So when you have many eyes and many ears that are able to oversee and to give input upon something that you're endeavoring or you're embarking upon, he says, read on.
There is safety.
It says there lies in the what?
Safety.
The definition of safety is freedom from danger or hazard.
Kind of like building a building with one architect and nobody to double check the labor, double check every aspect of the building.
Yep. You know, you have inspectors is who those counselors would be.
Yeah.
And that's the job of the inspectors. They're going to see, are you building a mud hut like that exists in Brazil,
Yeah.
in the favelas of Brazil, where one landslide or heavy rain can wash out all the villages that are built on stilts and shambles and tin and cardboard. There's no inspectors for that. Matter of fact, right now, there's a massive offload, being that you said that, just bringing that up. Right now, as we speak, there's a massive offload of Miami condominiums. Does anybody know why people are running away from Miami condominium ownership right now as we speak? What happened in the Miami condo about a year ago? It was a collapse, right? And people died. Oh. And when they went in and found out about the structure, these structures had not been updated. And also, a lot of the certificate of occupancies that were given and the inspections were paid for on the side. They weren't actually done. They were underhanded inspections. They were unofficial inspections. They were rushed, and the money was thrown at it. And the inspectors that actually did the inspection they're trying to sue them for liability because they passed these inspections, of course, being fronted with another set of monies to rush the project. So now the city of Miami and all of Florida has made it a law now by 2027 or 2028 or 2030. All condominiums have to be updated with the appropriate steel, beams, concrete, and if they don't, then the owners are going to suffer a penalty imposed upon them, additional penalty as a safety hazard.
Wow.
So right now you got all these owners of condominiums that are rushing to offload and selling these condos dirt cheap in Miami. It's the best time to get a cheap condo. But there's no guarantee that it's going to be livable.
No counsel.
Yeah, because there's no counsel. Because the condo may fall, and you may fall in it. The problem is, this is how the Most High has set up wisdom. This is how God has set aside understanding and knowledge. You're supposed to bring in some oversight upon all your endeavors. You're not supposed to make moves in life without counsel. Because when you have counsel, there is what, my Waller?
Where there is counsel, there is safety. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
There is safety. That definition of safety is freedom from danger or hazard, exemption from hurt, injury, or loss. So what does counsel provide you?
Exemption.
It exempts you from what?
From loss.
Hurt, injury, or loss. So if I don't get counsel when I make my decisions and make moves, what am I setting myself up for?
Loss.
Failure, hurt,
Injury.
Hazard,
Setbacks.
Injury, loss, regret, pain, suffering, emotional trauma, a loss of time. I'm setting myself up for these things if I don't get counsel. So what the Most High wants from us is to be free from injury. He doesn't want us to be walking around hurt and not receiving counsel, which can provide us this safety net and this reassurance that things are going to be okay. But a lot of times we make decisions that are impulsive. We make decisions that are without counsel.
Half thought.
It's not thought out thoroughly. We don't examine all the pros and cons, and we make decisions, and we're left suffering behind our decisions, and we're left suffering behind our choices that we make because we didn't include counsel in our decisions, in our choices. But that's contrary to what the Most High wanted from us and for us. It's actually contrary from the way He designed things to be. He designed things so that we can prosper. He designed counsel so that we can avert ourselves and avoid danger, pitfalls, stumbling blocks. issues before they even happen. It gives you like a premature foresight, almost a premonition, or an ability to foretell disaster before disaster actually strikes. That's the power of counsel.
It's the oracle of the Lord.
That's the way the Most High wants things done. But based upon our particular lust, based upon our particular desires, we avoid counsel. We're not thorough enough. We don't look at counsel as being valid. We look at, the situation as being, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I have to take this opportunity. I have to take this chance. I have to make this happen. This is my moment. This is my chance. So I understand that there may be some things that I have to live with, and I'm okay with that. But I see this chance, and I got to take it, because I don't get this many opportunities in front of me to present itself in a way that I can obtain it or grab it. So for us, we look at the urgency of things. We look at the lust of things, or the desire of things, or the want of things, where we don't even take the time to fully examine what's going to happen if I do get this right now, and is this right for me right now. But we can avoid all these things if we just look at the value of counsel, because that's what the Most High set up. He set up counsel as a preventative measure, as a means to avoid danger and harm, injury, and loss. All right? So, read that one more time, my Waller.
Come, where no counsel is, the people fall.
He said, where no counsel is, the people fall. Read.
But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
And he says, there is safety. So there's hazard and there's safety. There's two options. But the more you lean to counsel, the less you receive the hazard. And the more you receive being free from injury or loss. You get the safety. Now, let's go to Proverbs chapter 1, verse 25.
Proverbs chapter 1, verse 25.
Let's read that.
But ye have set at naught all my counsel.
Now, the Most High says that when it comes to his counsel and his advice, in respect of what we want, we don't put the two together. We have a desire, we have a want, but we don't put together the Most High's counsel, and we don't involve and include his counsel in our desires and our wants. He said, based on my counsel, how we operate is, he says, we set at naught. That naught is N-O-G-H-T. N-O-U-G-H-T. What that word means, to set at naught. I'm going to read the definition, what it means to set at naught. It says to treat as unimportant. That's what it means to set at naught.
I devalue the benefit of counsel.
That's the second definition, worthless. Wow. Set at naught, to treat as unimportant, as worthless, to despise, to disregard, to defy, and to unheed. Now, how does God set it up? The Most High set it up so that we can have safety. He said, but the way we look at his safety, he said, we set his safety, which is through his counsel. He says, we set it at naught, which means we look at it as worthless, to treat as unimportant, to despise, to disregard, and defy. Read that again.
Come, Proverbs chapter 1, verse 25. But ye have set at naught all my counsel.
He says, but ye have set at naught all my counsel. So what's available to us is free from injury or hurt. But that's not always what we inherit, because we don't value the counsel that comes from the Most High. We don't value his counsel enough in order to evade errors and issues and problems. Read.
And with none of my reproof.
And we don't want his correction. We don't want his correction, which steers us in a certain direction. We don't look at that as value. Reproof is correction, or the right way to look at something. We don't want the Most High's perspective, because it may not be what we want to hear. It may not be what we want. Sometimes what we want is stronger than what the Most High wants for us. And his counsel is contrary to what we want. So we make choices anyway. We override the counsel of the Most High too often to acquire and obtain something pertaining to our lusts and wants and desires. This is a problem that we create within ourselves. That's why the title of the class is called Pride, the Handmaid Snare of Mankind. That's the title of the class. Pride, the handmaid snare of mankind, because the Most High has made a way for us to be successful throughout our journey. That's based upon how we include his counsel in our life. We started off by reading where he says that do nothing without advice. Before every action or every enterprise, get counsel. But the Most High said, man, y'all don't want my counsel. You don't want what I have to offer you because you don't see the value in it. Now, what makes a man not see the value of God's counsel? What makes a man esteem his counsel as being worthless? Yes, sir.
Lust of material.
The lust of material, the want of something is so strong that I bypass the Most High's counsel. What else could make us think that the Most High's counsel is not necessary or appropriate?
Want of control.
Control. We want control. That's heavy. That's heavy when it comes to us because we want control of the situation. The Most High doesn't give us control sometimes because he knows what's right for us.
Fear of loss.
Fear of loss.
Who it's coming from?
Who is it coming from? The person that it's coming from.
Not having faith in the word.
Not having enough faith in them. All these answers are right. Yes, sir.
I say placing our own desires priority, top importance. Like we're chasing out like what we want. Even though some may tell us, no, that ain't the right move. This is what I want to do. They ain't gonna hurt that much. They ain't gonna hurt nobody.
We diminish the effects of making our own choices. We diminish it and say, well, it's not going to be that bad. What you got?
It doesn't make sense to us. So if we can't clearly see the outcome, then we don't have faith in or high expectations of there being a result that we think.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1. All of those answers are correct because those are reasons why we defy the Most High's counsel and why we refuse to incorporate his counsel in our decisions. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1. Now, as touching things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge.
It said we know we all have knowledge. Everybody got knowledge, right? But what's the problem with everybody's knowledge? That some people say we all have opinions, right? And there's some other things that go along with that term, you know. Everybody make assumptions. Everybody got opinions, and opinions are like something else. They all stink, right? So, but he's saying that we all got knowledge. Everybody possesses some type of knowledge. Read on.
Knowledge puffeth up.
But what's the problem with knowledge?
Puff you up.
Well, everybody has knowledge because everybody has a particular experience that they've been in to where they feel like they know. I have knowledge, meaning I have understanding of things, or I know something.
I have experiences.
I have experiences. I've done things. I've done a lot of things. I've had a variety of ups and downs in life.
I've seen a lot.
Life has been a teacher. I've seen a lot. But we all have knowledge. Or I was raised right. I was raised a certain way. We all have knowledge. He said, but the problem is, with each individual's knowledge does what?
Knowledge puffeth up.
In the Greek, this word puffed up in the Greek means to make proud, to cause to become conceited, as if to inflate something with air. He said, so you ever heard somebody use the term, man, that person's head is swole.
Yeah.
Or they're big-headed.
He blew himself up.
Man, he blowing himself up. What is it? It's all saying what the Greek definition means of being puffed up. That person's gassed up. Those are all just different terms for what?
Puffed up.
This person's inflated. But what's inflated in this person in particular is not just air that they're puffed up with. They're puffed up with arrogance. They're puffed up with conceit. Or it says overconfidence, because that's what puffed up means in the Greek. It means to be overconfident. Meaning, based on my experience, I have the thought that because I have experience or I've been somewhere or done something, bought the t-shirt, it makes me overconfident. Where instead of getting counsel in a situation, I feel like I don't need counsel in this situation. Because I can depend on what?
I got it.
My own,
Previous knowledge,
my own experiences.
My own knowledge.
previous victory.
We just read that he says, with every action get counsel. But what makes us stop getting counsel or not pursue counsel for every action?
I've been here before.
I've been here before. I've been down this road. I've seen this 100 times.
Yeah.
Seen it once, seen it a million times.
I got this.
I got this.
The information we have.
The information we have.
This is simple.
Right.
Yeah. This is easy to understand. I can comprehend this. It's not rocket science. We say these things as reasons actually to deny the opportunity for the Most High to give us counsel and advice on the situation based upon how inflated we are. Based on the level of inflation that we have in our pride and our conceit or in our arrogance. So in the Greek, it means to make proud, it says to cause to become conceited, as if to inflate something with air. Knowledge can make people arrogant, proud, and overconfident. So the Most High says, okay, I have a way that if you choose to seek it out, you'll be free from harm, free from injury, free from hazard. And if you allow me to give you counsel, you will, and let counsel go before every enterprise, your enterprise will be successful. We say, I got it. I don't need it. We set at naught. We devalue the Most High's counsel. So what happens? Let's go back to Proverbs chapter 1, but let's read verse 26. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 1, verse 26.
Go back to. You want to go back to that? I'll get it from you.
Proverbs chapter 1,
verse 26.
Verse 26.
Yes, sir. Proverbs 1:26. I also will laugh at your calamity.
So the Most High says, okay, well, you wanted to do things your way. You wanted to avoid counsel. You thought counsel was worthless. You thought advice in every action was unnecessary because you didn't deem it as valuable. So now that you're in the depths of danger and you've allowed yourself to be caught in a situation or a snare, or you're in a particular scenario in life that you don't like, you're in a situation that's not comfortable. You're in a bad condition. The Most High says what?
I also will laugh at your calamity.
Does that sound evil? Is that evil?
It sounds mean, but
Is it mean?
it's
the result.
Yeah, it sounds mean. It sounds cruel. It sounds cruel, but it's a righteous exchange. If you look at the bigger picture,
Say it
it's not
again.
wrong for
Can
it.
be perceived in the wrong way.
It can be perceived as the Most High is he doesn't have feelings.
Heartless, cold,
He's cold.
unmerciful.
He's unmerciful. But why does the Most High say, okay, since you do things your way, and if you did it my way, you would be free from hazard. You would be free from harm. He said, but since you did it your way and you thought that my way was worthless, you thought my way, he said, was to defy or to unheed. You didn't want to heed my way. He says, you thought my way was you despise or disregard as unimportant. You looked at it as unimportant. So now that you're in trouble, the Most High says what?
I will also laugh at your calamity.
Your calamity is your disaster. Because the opportunity to be free from that disaster was always there.
Yeah.
It was always available. But you didn't see the importance of getting advice. You made moves. You made decisions. You made preemptive decisions that brought you down into a condition, in a scenario that you don't like to be in. And the whole time that you're in that condition, the Most High said, I will laugh. The Most High finds it humorous. It's tickling to him. He enjoys the fact that you're in that condition because this is the result of someone who doesn't look at the value of his counsel. This is what you inherit.
And I would say we laughed at, when we did that, we laughed at his counsel, his way of doing things. So we just got it back. That's all. You know what I mean?
Right. So the Most High said, I laugh at your calamity.
He has a sense of humor.
He does.
I mean, listen, he's enjoying this. When you laugh, it's because you enjoy it. Why does he enjoy it? Because you enjoy being rebellious. You enjoy your plans, and you think your plan. It's a funny thing. A person built a whole tower, and you're like, "This is gonna work," and you've been telling them, "Hey, bro, that tower you shouldn't build it 4 stories. Maybe 2 stories is cool at max. With those materials in that land, but you can't do 4 stories. I'm gonna prove you wrong." That's the secret spirit behind pride.
That was the Titan sub that imploded 4,000 meters below sea.
Super rich.
Super rich.
Couldn't tell him no.
He failed multiple. One of the guys that stepped out of the investing for that Titan sub said they were in the Bahamas and they just went down 100 feet and heard the sub cracking. Under 100, it started making weird noises. And not to mention, he used college students to set up his software.
Even worse.
And he used a game controller to control to control the sub. He bypassed all advice. He was told that you have to use carbon fiber or they used a lightweight aluminum.
Super light.
The previous subs used aluminum and something else, another metal, heavy metal that can endure those pressure, those depths. And he said, I'm going to prove that I can do it with just a carbon fiber hole.
Okay.
And he took 4 people down to their death, and lost track immediately within an hour of going down. It's supposed to have been a 4-hour trip down. Within 1 hour, they lost communication. In Canada, oceanographers said that they swear that they heard human banging underwater. What could you do when you're banging on a sub that's seconds away from cracking?
Who can help?
What help can come to you? The help was already in the engineering that told the engineers that told you this sub is unsafe. Now it was the irony of it is that they were going down to see the Titanic, which was another design of pride by man. And they both are scattered. Both parts are scattered right next to each other. Now who's laughing? Let's be honest now. Remember the Titanic. The Titanic was said by man to be the unsinkable ship. What do you call that? So so when you look at these scenarios and you look at all the advice that was given to prevent these catastrophic events, they're seeing the Titanic, all right. They're viewing that Titanic, but both of their graveyards are both right next to it. They're only 25 feet. They're actually on the right trajectory down, and they just that implosion with those pieces are scattered right next to the Titanic. They're really not far from each other. But the Most High said, I will do what?
I also will laugh at your calamity.
So when the Most High says, man, I've been trying to give you advice. I've been trying to get you to listen. I've been trying to get you to see that my counsel is valuable. It'll actually protect you from harm. But you want to do it your way. It's like you tell a kid, don't put your tongue on a frozen metal pole outside in the snow. But you know what a kid does? What's going to happen? If I put my tongue on this frozen pole, you know what happens? Your tongue instantly freezes to that pole, and your tongue is stuck to the pole. Now you're crying. You're crying and you're stuck outside, and you can't get your face off the pole because you didn't listen, but you had to do it your way. It deserves to be looked at a certain way. How does the Most High look at it? Read on.
I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock.
To mock means to rub something in. So not only does the Most High laugh at you, the Most High rubs it in or to kick you while you're down. He laughs and makes fun of it. It makes it worse than what it is. By additional mockery. He says, I will mock when what?
I will mock when your fear comes.
He said, I will laugh and I will taunt you. You scared now, huh? You like the way that feel, huh? You were smart. You didn't need my counsel, huh? You thought my counsel was worthless, huh? How you look now?
Yeah.
How you feel now? You in this situation? You like that situation, don't you? you like to be in this trouble, don't you? So the Most High said he will mock when what?
When your fear cometh.
Go ahead.
When your fear cometh as desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind.
It said it's quick and it's fast. Read.
When distress and anguish cometh upon you.
He said when distress and with what?
And anguish cometh upon you.
He said when distress and anguish cometh upon you. Go ahead.
Verse 28.
No, I just want 27.
Okay.
So he's showing how we could have avoided distress. We could have avoided calamity. We could have avoided danger. There's a lot of things that the Most High has set up so that you don't have to fall into certain precarious positions or conditions. You could have avoided these things, but we think that the Most High's wisdom or his judgment, based on our perspective and our knowledge, is unnecessary or unvaluable. And we use what the Greeks call hubris, which is pride, as a reason why to make the decision that we make versus listening to what the Most High makes to avoid danger. Now, we're at 1 Corinthians 8:1. Let's read that one more time.
1 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 1. Now, as touching the things offered unto idols, we know that we all have knowledge.
Everybody got knowledge. Read. But what's the problem with everybody having knowledge?
Knowledge puffeth up.
It says knowledge inflates the ego or the arrogance of man. I want you to read this real quick. Philo says what on about that ego? Yep, page 890.
Come, page 890. If you are puffed up,
He said Philo is a Jewish historian who wrote chronicles of Jewish history during the time of Alexander when the Greeks headquarters was in Alexandria, and Alexandria, which is in North Africa, had over 1 million population of Jews living, 1 million in population of Jews living outside of Israel in Alexandria. Had the largest population of Jews outside of Israel, even during this time. So he says, if you are what?
If you are puffed up by glory and authority.
He says, if you're puffed up by glory and what?
And authority.
If you're puffed up by your position or your arrogance, about your glory, how you see yourself, read on.
So as to desire great things.
So as to feel like you deserve great things. But what tells you that you deserve great things? Your arrogance, your pride tells you you deserve great things. I deserve more than what I possess. I deserve more than what I have. Read on.
Then remember.
He says, then remember what?
Like the skillful pilot of a ship, to take in your sails.
He says, you got to be careful that when you start creating this notion that you deserve more than what you have. It's your pride that tells you that you deserve more, or you deserve better, or you deserve more than what the Most High has given you. He says, then you got to be careful. He says, you should take in your sails like an ocean master or a sailor when he sees danger approaching. When you see danger approaching, you take the sail in. When you see a storm coming, you bring the sails down so that you don't be tossed by the storm. He says you're supposed to take in your sails. What he's saying is you got to check yourself from what? Read.
That you may not be carried away into absurd conduct.
He says because if you don't watch yourself, and if you don't control your ego, and you don't stay on top of your pride, and you don't stay on top of the things that you feel like you deserve or want based on your level of arrogance, he says it won't be long before you fall into what?
Absurd conduct.
Absurd conduct, meaning your conduct will be a reflection of how you see yourself. And that's dangerous. When men's conduct start changing based upon their level of pride. What's supposed to keep that cell tucked in, is humility. Let me not get beside myself. Let me not steer myself into a bad situation because I'm telling myself I deserve more than what I have. He said it starts to change men's conduct. That's what happens when somebody's ego is inflated. That's what happens when somebody's knowledge is puffed up. They start telling themselves what they deserve, and they start reaching for things that they shouldn't. And they start saying things that they shouldn't. Because they're being activated by what?
Right.
By pride. They're puffed up. That's the danger. We're just using that for an example. Now, let's go to Proverbs chapter 11, verse 2.
Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 2. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 2. When pride cometh, then cometh shame.
It says, when a person's got an inflated level of knowledge, where they don't seek the Most High's counsel or advice, they feel like they can figure it out themselves. He says, when pride comes in, then what?
Then cometh shame.
He says, pride and shame go hand in hand. Based on what we've shown so far, how does pride and shame go hand in hand? Think about it for a minute. Yes, sir.
Well, because the calamity or the situation you find yourself in, you'll think on it like, wow. You'll realize how you ended up there because it was your own decision making that got you there.
Yeah. You realize it, man. How did this happen?
Realizing that your own wisdom failed you.
Say that again.
Realizing that your own wisdom failed you.
When you think you're something, you'll find out that you really don't know anything.
Yep. And that's a verse.
Galatians 63.
Yeah, go ahead and read that because that's a great verse.
What was that?
Galatians 6 and 3, sir.
Galatians chapter 6 and verse 3. For if a man thinketh himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself.
He's lying to himself. When a man inflates his ego or his pride and become arrogant and starts to feel like I don't need counsel to make decisions. I can do this by myself. That's somebody that has an unjust perspective of themselves. He says when a man does what?
For if a man thinketh himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself.
He said I'm lying to myself, and go ahead.
Verse 4.
Now that's it. That's when the shame comes in. I'm setting myself up for a disaster.
Major disappointment.
Read that again, Nagaha.
Proverbs 11 and 2. When pride cometh, then cometh shame.
He said when pride comes, right behind pride cometh what?
Shame.
Read on.
But with the lowly.
He says, but with the humble. Go ahead.
But with the lowly is wisdom.
It says, but if you stay humble, the Most High gives you what?
Wisdom.
So you have shame to inherit when you're prideful because you don't listen. You do things your way. He says, but right behind the lowly or the humble-minded individual, the Most High has wisdom as a reward. That's the reward of the lowly. So now wisdom is the correct application of knowledge. Now everything I do works out for the better. I don't have any pitfalls. I don't have any dangerous scenarios. I don't suffer harm or hazard or injury.
Events that don't make sense.
Yeah, I'm not in a predicament. Like people say, I'm just in a predicament. It's complicated.
I'm in a situation.
I'm in a situation. So that doesn't happen. Now, same page, 890. Read this for me right here.
Gone. He who has not shame or fear.
It says, if I don't have enough fear of the Lord, I'm supposed to have a good shame, which is fear. I don't want to do things by myself. I don't want to make bad decisions. I don't want to do things where it's pride related or pride based He says, but he that is without, that does not have shame or fear, read on.
He who has not shame or fear for his companions has an unbridled mouth and a licentious tongue.
It says, has a what?
Unbridled mouth and a licentious tongue.
So if I have a lot of pride, it says, my pride will force me to have an unbridled what? Mouth. Meaning what?
You're offensive.
I become what causes men to be rash, to be offensive in nature, in their speech, in their tongue. Father already said, if you're puffed up, it won't be long before you start doing absurd conduct, before your conduct becomes absurd. He also says if you don't have enough fear, it won't be long before you become offensive in your speech to your companions. Now you start talking crazy. Now you start saying things you shouldn't say. What causes men to have absurd conduct, and what causes men to have a licentious tongue? But
Arrogance, pride.
pride. But what's that licentious mean? What does the licentious mean?
I got it. It says disregarding accepted rules or conventions. That's archaic.
Get something better than that. There's got to be something better than that.
That's pronounced licentious.
What you got?
It says
LIC.
What you got?
exceeding the limits of law.
So now I'm starting to. There's a way of speech that's appropriate, that's conducive to friendship, that's conducive to building people up.
Oh, it says abusive disregard for rules or personal conduct.
Right. So now basically I'm lacking respect for you.
Yeah.
The common word is respect. I got a respect for you, and because I have a respect for you, there are certain limits of speech that I will not go to. I will not say certain things based on my level of respect to you. There are just certain things I won't let fly out of my mouth because I have a respect for you and to you. Yes, sir.
I got a definition right here for you guys.
Let him finish what he got.
It says using license, indulging freedom to excess.
So now I get overboard in my speech. Now my speech is beyond respect. It's now we're walking in the territory of offensive. Now I'm offensive to you because I have pride. My pride tells me I don't have to respect you. It won't be long before the conduct is absurd, and it also won't be long before the speech is absurd also. What you got? What you got, Kariah?
Okay, kind. It says licentious. It says disregarding accepted rules or conventions or lacking legal or moral restraint.
It says lack in legal or moral. It's immoral. My speech becomes immoral. And to sum it up, restraint. I have no restraint in my speech. Why do people say things and do things with no regard and no restraint? It's all based upon their level of arrogance. Their pride tells them that I don't have to respect you. I don't have to stay within a certain limit that creates better bonds and friendships. I don't have to.
I like what he said in Philo. He talked about if you don't have shame or fear. Because a lot of times the mentality is, I don't fear losing you. So I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I don't fear you turning your back on me. Because we're in the truth. Because it's a Bible school. So I'm going to say what I want to say because I don't think you're going to leave.
Take it how you want it.
Take it how you want, but you have to come back anyway. You still have to talk to me anyway. You still have to sit here and try to invest me because it's a Bible school. Because the Lord says so. So the men get more wild and brash with their mouth because they feel like there's infinite amounts of forgiveness. Which in an ideal world there should be.
Yep.
But that's not how men operate.
But you also lose connections.
You lose. That's the point. The connection is I'll still respect you as a person, but there's gonna be some distance. There's gonna be some separation.
And the scriptures say that the tongue in James 3 said the tongue is an unruly evil. It's untamable. So go to Ecclesiastes just because we talked about last week. Yes, sir.
Did you know that people and fish have something in common?
You said people and fish. What do they have in common?
You do get in trouble with that, right?
Yeah, that's wise words from a fisherman. From a fisherman. Only a fisherman know that.
Open your mouth.
Open your mouth.
Yeah.
You get stuck.
actually in the scriptures.
When you open your mouth as a human being, you get in trouble.
You get in trouble. These are facts. But we talked about last week, and my Waller brought this out last week. Last week we talked about, like Elisha said, let us all wink at ignorance. All of us should be able to wink at ignorance, right?
Yeah.
And how is that possible? We went to my Waller brought this up last week. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 6. He didn't get a chance to read it. We'll read it now and then move on from that too, and read the next verse following that.
Come.
10 and 6.
10 and 6.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 6, page 76, reads, "Bear not hatred to thy neighbor."
It says you're not supposed to bear any hatred to your neighbor, whether that be in speech or whether that be in action. Read on.
"Bear not hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong."
And you're not supposed to be angry and overwhelmed for every little thing and nitpicky about everything that they do wrong. You wanted to bring that out, right, my Waller?
Yeah, kind of.
And you wanted to bring it out for what purpose?
Just bait, because a lot of brothers like to harp on every mistake or every action that you do, versus just sitting back here. Okay, he did this mistake. Let me sit back here and work with this brother rather than constantly focus or be fixated on every action that this brother did.
I got to put you on blast for everything you do wrong.
Right.
But what makes a person do that? What makes a person put people on blast and identify every flaw? Why do I got to point out every single flaw? Read on.
Come. "And do nothing at all by injurious practices."
And what causes me to do that? Read.
"Pride is hateful before the Most High and man."
So what makes me single out and put everybody's action under a microscope?
"Pride is hateful before the Most High and man."
Why can't I let nothing slide that you do wrong?
Pride.
Because my pride don't let me let you off the hook. My pride doesn't allow me to allot forgiveness to you. My pride doesn't allow me to say, you know what, he didn't mean that. Let me give you the benefit of the doubt. My pride says you meant that.
Yeah.
My pride says you deserve that treatment. So if my speech is out of order and immoral, I don't care, because I feel like you deserve that. Based on my pride, I can't let you off the hook. I gotta say what I gotta say. Take it how you want it. This is how pride starts to erode relationships. Just to tie that in with last week's class that we had on Wednesday about not wanting to let somebody off the hook. It's my pride that doesn't want me to I can't let this go. I can't I gotta single out every mistake you make. I gotta show you what kind of bad of a person you are. I gotta pinpoint it. That's pride. But the scriptures say pride is what?
Pride is hateful before the Most High and man.
So, you know who hates pride? The Most High hates pride, number one. And also when it's witness and evidence in men hate to see it too.
Yeah.
But most importantly, the Most High hates it. Go to Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 16.
Read that.
"These 6 things doth the Lord hate."
The Most High got a hate list. He has a list of things that he hates. Because a lot of people don't think God hates. You got people think God is all love. Well, the Most High loves and he hates. Matter of fact, he got more than one. He said these 6 things, he what?
The Lord hate.
Read.
Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him.
And he said the 7th one is extremely disgusting to him. What's the first thing that we read that the Most High hates? What's number 1 on the list?
A proud look.
The Most High says the number 1 thing he hates on his list of things he hates is what?
A proud look.
What is a proud look? A proud look is an uneven estimation of oneself. Another definition of pride is an unduly high opinion of oneself. Meaning it's an undeserving high opinion of oneself. Or an uneven estimation of oneself, or it's a false estimation of oneself. That's what pride is.
True.
Say it again.
It's uneven means imbalanced.
Yes.
I have an unbalanced perspective. There's no true equity or balance or justice. I have no real right to maintain that type of ideal towards someone. That type of, to characterize someone a certain way because I have imbalanced judgment. Then it goes from imbalanced judgment, which is meaning it's not fair or it's not biblically equitable, it's not correct based on scripture, to then it's just straight up false. Now you're a liar. Because if you see things and what you see is wrong, then what you speak is going to be matching what you see. You start creating narratives based off of, well, this is what I saw. That's not what you saw, it's what you thought you saw because you have a negative perspective of this person. So now you're spitting a lie or you're speaking a lie. Well, that's what he meant. That's what I thought happened. This was intention, and this is how he said this. By the way, he said this. Well, that person may not have said that.
Or I could tell by the way he was looking at me.
Exactly.
I knew what he.
I gotta trust your imbalanced judgment. I have to trust your opinion because I'm getting a third party report. I'm not getting a first party report, a primary source. I'm getting a secondary, thirdary. So everybody's got to believe this person based off this person's so-called validity. When they start speaking and communicating with other people, they're communicating their broken, deformed version of what happened because that perspective deformed the actual situation. They say in the world, there's right, wrong, or there's truth, there's false, and then there's, I think, what you believe. I forgot how they say it, man. I said it the wrong way. But there's the truth, what you think, and then what really happened.
Yeah.
Because everybody has their truth. Huh?
3 sides to the story.
3 sides to the story, right? What really happened versus what you think happened. Because my thinking is unchecked. Because my pride is unchecked.
So my pride, yes.
So if another example of the
When you think everyone is fake towards you, you would have to ask yourself, is this correct? If I have the idea that everyone is fake, that means that I've allowed this. I've meditated on this idea for a while, and I thought about this idea for a while, and I believe now that this is true, that everybody's fake. Now, when we go to Titus chapter 1, verse 15 and 16, it says what? I want you to read this real quick, because there's a way of thinking that's productive, and there's a way of thinking that's unproductive. But what has happened if that's my thought? And that's a great question too, sis. That's a great question. We're in where we at? Titus chapter 1, verse 15, right?
Titus chapter 1, verse 15.
Can you say that out loud? Because I don't think the camera caught the conversation or her voice.
What happens if you believe that everyone is fake to you?
Is that a problem?
Is that a proud look? Let's go to Titus chapter 1, verse 15.
Titus chapter 1, verse 15. Unto the pure, all things are pure.
He said, unto the pure, if I can maintain a pure mind and a pure outlook, then everything is what?
Pure.
Everything is pure. Read.
But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure.
So if I say everybody is fake, what has happened to my outlook?
Defiled.
My outlook has become contaminated. My outlook has been tainted. My perspective towards people has now become full of blemishes. I don't see people in a pure light if I say to myself, everybody is fake towards me. If I group everybody in a bubble and say everybody is fake. We talked about this last week also, about grouping people in bubbles because there's no good people. Right?
Yeah.
We talked about that last week, about how the Most High also can group us in a bubble.
Yeah.
And he'll measure you based off of your judgment of others.
Right, and he'll measure us like Matthew 7 says.
Yeah.
But it's nothing wrong with the question, but the answer is something has happened to my perspective. Something has happened to my outlook. And what has happened is this. Read that again.
God, Titus 1 and 15. Unto the pure, all things are pure. But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure.
Is what?
Is nothing pure.
So this is when I start to say there's nothing good. I can't trust nobody. Nobody means me well. Nobody's in my corner. Nobody has my back. Nobody has pure intentions. So now that's just a matter of my perspective has grown dark because of the damages that people have done to me.
And a lot of things have been unexamined. That's also a product of having isolated opinions that are not challenged. When people are isolated for long periods of time, people lose a grip on reality. Why? Scripture says, "Iron sharpens what?
Iron.
Iron." And a friend, and also the counts of his friend, right? So when I'm around other people's conversations and perspectives can keep me tethered to what's real. But when I'm isolated, or I don't allow my conversation to come out of my mouth and be examined or corrected or at least stress tested or critiqued, then I'm liable to put myself in the position to have false ideas.
Read this right here. Matthew Henry said this too. Read this right here. And page 572 of Matthew Henry. What did he say? He's a commentator of the scripture. He said what?
We often create a great deal.
He says we do what?
Often create a great deal of uneasiness.
He said we often create, it's self-created, a great deal of what?
Uneasiness.
Go ahead.
To ourselves.
He says we do it to ourselves. Why?
By misinterpreting the words and actions of others that are well intended.
So he says, quite often, more often than not, there are people that are well intended. They have a good intention towards us. And they have a good desire to see us succeed. And they want to see us do well. He says, but the problem is, quite often, we misinterpret the words of other people that are well intended. So a lot of times it's based upon our contaminated judgment that we misinterpret the fact that somebody is actually trying to be kind to me. It's a misinterpretation. Yes, pride can be a prohibitor of the good that other people are trying to do to me, especially if I say through my pride, they made me harm. Or they wish me harm, or they hating on me, because that's a known term that we like to use. They just hating on me. I got a bunch of haters. But not all good intentions are understood and interpreted the correct way. Some of it is our misinterpretation of what a good deed is. When somebody says thank you, or I thought about you, or we say, you know what, you only thought about me because you want something. You only called me because you want something. You was really checking on me? You must be broke because you was checking on me. You must want something. What type of mentality is that? He said, read it again.
It says, we often create a great deal of uneasiness to ourselves by misinterpreting the words and actions of others.
Which comes down to judgment. And if our judgment is contaminated, then our perspective to others and their good deeds is contaminated also. Yes, pride can be an inhibitor to that and be a problem to that and create that. But also, I haven't purified my mind. Christ says, sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is true.
Thy word is true.
Christ said, the way you clean people up is through the word. That means I gotta study more to keep my mind pure, in order to keep a pure outlook and a pure perspective. I gotta lean on scriptures more than I lean on my feelings, because I could be wrong.
What times are not? You are.
Yep. So he said in where are we at in Proverbs, right?
Titus 1 and 15.
No, go back to Proverbs 6 and 16.
Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16. These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are an abomination unto him.
We're not focusing on all of them. We just want to get the first one. What's the first one say?
A proud look.
He said a proud look. A proud look is a false estimation. It's somebody that has an uneven estimation of themselves.
Yep.
He said the Most High doesn't like that. He hates that. That's a person putting themselves in a position that they don't actually are deserve to be in. It's an unduly high opinion of oneself. Yes, sis.
When it says a proud look, it's like looking at somebody or look at pride, your self-persona.
Yes, there's an arrogance that you possess. A proud look is arrogance, which is a false estimation. It's an untrue, uneven estimation. Let's go to Job chapter 31, verse 1.
Job chapter 31, verse 1. Ready?
Read that.
I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid?
You know what he's saying? Job, right here in verse 1, he says, I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think about what?
A maid.
What is he saying? If you made a covenant with your eyes, he says that means a contract. I made a contract with myself. It says, so why think upon a maid?
Why do I need help?
Say it again.
Why do I need help?
Not necessarily why do I need help.
Distractions.
Say it again. If he made a contract with himself,
Yeah.
and he said, you know what? I'm not going to be looking around me and looking at everything that walk by me like we do. I'm not going to look at everything that passed by me and say, ooh, look at that. That's what we do. He said, I made a covenant with mine eyes.
Couples, real quick.
Yes, sir.
Help this. Ecclesiastes 9 and 5 says, gaze not on a maid, that thou fall not by those things that are precious in her. So, sometimes people look and they get infatuated, and they end up falling for that person off just the looks. You don't know any of that person's mindset, where that person's from, their thinking pattern, what they got going on. So Job was using wisdom. He said, listen, I'm not going to give my conscience and focus on that. I'm going to focus on my covenant, my contract.
I'm going to stick with my contract. I made a promise to the Most High. I'm going to focus on Him. And I'm not going to let nothing deter me. So why lie to myself? Why make a contract and then break the contract?
That's crazy.
Why tell the Most High I'm going to do something and not do it?
You know, what's funny is thinking isn't looking. So this is a loophole. I'm not going to look at it, but I'll think about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at it, but I'm meditating on it all day long. But I'm still following the rules. He said, I'm not going to give myself a loophole. I won't give myself an out or a chance to potentially break that covenant.
You know what he's doing? This is somebody that's being honest with themselves.
Come.
Yeah.
And too many times, we're not honest with ourselves because pride doesn't allow you to be honest with yourself. Your pride will tell you, man, I ain't looking at nobody. I don't want nobody else. You're lying to yourself. Pride will say something that you really don't intend that doesn't match how you really feel. Pride said, man, I'm stronger than that. But the reality of it is, you're not stronger than that. Pride causes the imbalance. Job is saying, I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm going to be honest with myself. And if I said I'm going to do it, then I'm not going to do it. Hold me to it. Read on.
Come, Job 31 and 1. I made a covenant with my eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? But what portion of the Most High is there from above?
He's saying so. Now you have to examine what he's saying. He's saying, for what portion of the Most High is there from above? What does the Most High have to offer me? Is what he's asking. Why am I going to force the course of the river? Why am I made a contract with the Most High. I said I'm not going to do this. Why break this? Because I understand that there's something that the Most High can give me versus what I want. Let me be honest with myself. I can wait for the Most High to give it to me. What portion is of the Most High? It says, for what portion of the Most High is there from above? Read.
And what inheritance of the Almighty from on high?
It says, and what does the Most High have to offer me? Well, he understands something. That the Most High blesses people who are honest with themselves. And he's going to explain. Read.
Verse 3. Is not destruction to the wicked?
The wicked is the ones who have pride. They're not honest with themselves. They have a false estimation of themselves. They have an uneven imbalance of how they look at life. So they inherit destruction. But people that are honest with themselves, they don't esteem themselves more than what they are. He says the Most High has a reward for them. Read.
And a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity.
He says the people that walk with pride, they get strange punishments.
Wow.
Because they're never honest. He said, but the Most High, as long as I can be honest with myself, it doesn't benefit me to lie to myself or to walk around with arrogance or an inflated ego or inflated knowledge. It doesn't benefit me. Let me walk honestly. Let me be honest with myself and not let me over-examine or overestimate who I think I am. It doesn't benefit me in the end. It benefits me totally to be honest about what my value is and who I am as a person. Let me not think too high upon myself. Read.
Con. Verse 4. Doth not he see my ways?
Because although I may look at myself a certain way, Job is saying, man, don't the Most High see you? And you're not what you think you are? You're not on the level that you think you're on. He said, does not the Most High know the truth about us?
Yeah.
Is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Does it not the Most High see the ins and the outs? The good and the bad? Doesn't the Most High know what's real about us and what's fake about us? What he's showing is that there's nothing you can hide from the Most High. Why walk around with a falsified idea about who we think we are? It doesn't benefit us. He says, doesn't the Most High do what?
Doth not he see my ways?
He said, don't the Most High see our ways? He watch everything you do. He knows when you're committed. He knows when you're not committed. He knows when you're serious. He knows when you're not serious. He knows when you're going to keep your word or you just blowing smoke. Or you're just saying you're going to keep your word. He knows when you're taking his word serious, when you're taking advice serious. He knows when you're blowing it over your shoulder, you don't care. He said, does he not see my ways? Read on.
And count all my steps?
He says, the Most High is counting every one of my steps. What does that mean when he's saying that the Most High is counting your steps?
Watching.
He's watching you.
Issue for issue, thought for thought.
There's no reason for me to lie.
I got no reason to lie.
I have no reason to lie. The Most High is keeping score.
Wow.
He's keeping score of everything I do. Why walk around with pride as if I'm somebody and I'm not? When the Most High really know who I am. He's the one keeping score. He's watching every movement. He's analyzing every thought. He's examining every action. And he can tell when you're real or fake. He can tell when you're honest or when you're lying. Why try to be somebody I'm not? Why have pride is the point. Pride doesn't do a person any good, especially when you're dealing with the Most High, when he knows what you are. Why walk around with arrogance? When he knows who you really are. He knows what you're afraid of.
You know what's crazy? There's all that meme of that kitty cat. He's looking at himself in the mirror. He's lying.
Yeah.
You ever seen that meme?
Yeah.
There's always that meme. It's supposed to be inspirational, like, see yourself as a lion, but you're a kitty cat.
Yeah.
But the reality is, you go out there thinking you're a lion, you deal some dogs, you might get ripped up.
Yeah. But it's a false estimation.
That happens too.
But that's what the world. That's the knowledge that the world pushes, is to inflate yourself and will yourself into something that you're not. Job is like, listen, it doesn't benefit me to pretend to be anything else than what I am. If I said I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna keep my word. I'm gonna keep my word. Let me be honest to the Most High, because He's watching every single step anyway.
Yeah.
Why deceive myself? Read.
Con, verse 5. If I have walked with vanity.
It says, if I have walked with vanity, which is pride.
Wow.
He said, if I've walked with vanity. Read on.
Or if my foot hath hastened to deceit.
Oh, I've been lying about what I said I'm going to do and I don't do it. Or I said I'm going to make a change and I don't make it. He says, or I hasten to deceit. Read on.
Let me be weighed in an even balance.
He says, Job is saying, listen, weigh me based upon truth. Not about what I may think I am. And that's the best thing that we can do with the Most High, is be honest with ourselves. It doesn't pay, or it doesn't do us any good to walk around with pride, with an inflated ego, when the Most High really knows the truth about us. He said, let me be weighed in an even balance. Then look at me for what I am, not for who I think I am. Read on.
Come, Job 31:7. Rest of 6. Top of 6. Let me be weighed in an even balance, that the Most High may know mine integrity.
He says that the Most High may know my what?
Mine integrity.
He said that's what matters, is that the Most High knows my integrity. Now I want you to read this for me real quick about one of the hardest things that in life for men to do, based on what Philo said. Read page 518, and I want you to just read this real quick. When it comes to integrity, I'm sorry, 890. Read this for me real quick. Read this. Read this right here at the bottom.
This?
Yeah. This right here. No, I want you to get this right here.
890. Some persons say that the last thing which the wise man puts off.
It says when somebody's on a road to trying to gain wisdom, obtain wisdom. It says he says some men may say that the last thing to get rid of is one thing that's hard to get rid of. Read.
Is the tunic of vainglory.
He says he calls it the tunic of vainglory.
Wow.
First of all, a tunic is a what?
It's close.
It's a piece of garment, but it's an outer layer.
Yeah.
It's an outer layer, or the outer part of a garment that people see that is decorated, or it's an extra layer of protection. It's an image that you want people to see. It's the outer layer, outer shell of a garment. He says the hardest thing to get rid of when you're getting wisdom or pursuing wisdom is the tunic of what?
Vainglory.
Is the tunic of vainglory. Me thinking I'm right. I gotta get rid of the idea that I'm right. Read on.
For even if a man gets the mastery over his other passions,
even if I control lust, some men know how to lock down lust, like we're reading about in Job. He said, I made a covenant with my eyes that I'm not gonna gaze at a maid, right? So I've got my lust under control. I got my anger under control. I'm not mad all the time. I got that under control. I got envy under control. He said, though a man may be able to get mastery over other passions, one that's very hard and difficult for man to finally let go of is what?
still he is inclined by nature to be influenced by glory and the praises of the multitude.
It says he still could be affected with what?
By glory and the praises of the multitude.
Which is his ego stroked.
Yeah. That desire, that's a strong desire.
That's a strong desire.
That's how a lot of people finesse people.
Yep. That's how you can bribe. That's how you can bribe somebody through flattery.
Yeah.
Somebody can stroke your ego. He said that's one of the hardest things to get rid of. But it's based upon something. You had your hand up?
I was saying, is that just showing off your knowledge?
Yeah, you showing off your knowledge, showing off what you know, not wanting to let go of what you think is right, how you look at things. You value the way you look at things. Which, read on in this.
This right here?
Yeah, read that right there.
Okay. Self-conceit is an impure thing by nature.
And what he's talking about is self-conceit. It's hard to get rid of, man. Pride is something that's very hard to get rid of. Even if you've conquered other passions. Even if you put other passions under control, one that's hard to get rid of, that can be easily inflated, you could get rid of anger, you can stop smoking cigarettes, you can stop drinking.
But perfect diet?
And you eat perfect food. You can knock out all these things off your list. But it's hard to avoid somebody that inflates your ego, because in us, we have a desire to want to think ourselves above than what we are. And be more than what we think. He said that's the last thing to shed off, man, is the fact that I think I know something, I think I'm right, or I want to be somebody better than I am.
This is crazy. It says self-conceit. It says an exaggerated opinion of one's own qualities and abilities. So I think I'm right, or I think I'm such and such, or I'm this person, or I'm this status. But self-conceit is there's an exaggeration. It's like rappers. They tell all these stories, and you listen to the story, you actually meet their friends and their family and their cousins. Like, this dude wasn't doing all that, man.
He wasn't living
He's
like that.
exaggerating these stories.
Right.
He's 21 gunshot salute.
Yeah.
Like, but you got shot at one time, bro.
He was a boss.
Like, you sold a little nickel, and you said you was selling pounds out. You was Colombian out.
Yeah, Colombian connection.
You know Colombia. You have a couple Instacart homeboys that hook you up. You talking to Colombians out? You got Bolivians around you out?
Yeah.
You're with the mob. You have homeboys from the neighborhood you grew up with that y'all fought together. Y'all had a couple fights together. Y'all protect each other.
And they say you ran.
And you really ran. And matter of fact, you wanted to snitch, but you're the biggest killer, biggest. Then you like my man's boy. Elijah has a best friend that you listen to his rap out. You heard him.
Oh yeah.
He sound like he did it all.
He's very convincing that he's from the streets.
Yeah.
I'm like, this dude did it all.
But he didn't grow up in the streets.
No.
And he's not from the streets. But if you listen to him rap,
I believe him.
It's believable that he came from the gutter.
Yeah.
But you would be convinced by his style of rap, the content of the rap songs, the delivery. He sounds convincing. Very convincing.
There wasn't one time I questioned what he said.
I was like, man. Matter of fact, we was like, who was that? I don't know if you remember. We was like, man, that dude go hard right there. Who this dude? That dude from the streets.
He from the bottom.
But in reality, he actually grew up in a well-to-do home. It's like what's the name, son? He said
T.I.P.
No, the football player Michael Irvin.
Yeah.
He said that ain't his name. His name ain't Murder something. His name is.
He grew up in a gated community.
Yeah, he grew up in a $1 million gated community.
He blew his son up.
Yeah. He said that ain't
on
his,
live TV.
on live TV.
Yeah.
He said that ain't his name. You'll say blew his son up. But a lot of people have a persona, and that persona is hard to leave. It's hard to get rid of. And this sometimes that persona, and this is what we want to go into next is
Tarantino's. Toronto's like that. His son's
Tarantino.
Tarantino.
Yeah, Tarantino. He said that ain't his name. His name is Calvin. But what we want to go into is sometimes your ego prevents you, and your pride prevents you from healing. Because that's the hardest thing to let go is that pride. And because it's so difficult to let go, sometimes it can prevent the blessings and the healing that the Most High has in store for you. And that's what we want to get to now. Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 5, and let's start at verse 1. 2 Kings chapter 5 and verse 1. Tarantino.
Yeah, Tarantino. He did it all.
2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1 reads, Ready?
I'm ready.
Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man.
It says he was a captain of the host of the king of Syria. So he was the head of the Syrian army. He was the captain of the Syrian army. And through his hands, he won many victories, even victories against Israel, and took many slaves, even of Israel. But he was a Syrian by nationality, right? Aram, right? From Aram, Arameans. So he said, what?
Was a great man with his master, and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria.
So Syria won the victory over Israel by Naaman's hands, right? He said he was a great man, full of glory. This man was a national hero of Syria due to the fact that his military prowess, his military expertise, his strategies brought many victories to Syria. Even we fell as slaves to Naaman. Read on.
He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper.
It says, but on the contrary, as mighty as this man was in real life, he said this man was what?
Was a leper.
He was a leper. Now, what is leprosy? Now, it's also known as Hansen's disease today. Somebody pull up Hansen's disease. Hansen. Hansen's disease is what they call it today. Somebody pull it up.
Hansen's disease, a chronic, curable infectious disease, mainly causing skin lesions and nerve damage.
It says it causes skin lesions and nerve damage. Read.
Leprosy.
It's also what?
Leprosy.
It's leprosy. That's what Hansen's disease is. It lives today. It's called leprosy. Read.
Is caused by infection with the bacterium, Mycobacterium leprae. It mainly affects its skins, eyes, nose, and peripheral nerves.
And why does it affect the skin, the eyes, and the nose, and the ears, and the fingers? Because what leprosy does as a bacteria, it forces the body to absorb the cartilage. So your body starts to eat its own cartilage, and you start to absorb the cartilage into your cells. So your nose starts to lose its form, and your nose becomes flat because the cartilage to keep your nose in shape starts to dissolve and starts to be pulled back into your body. Your ears do the same thing. Your ears start to almost looking like they melt away because there's aspects of the cartilage that's being absorbed back into the body. So it loses shape. The face loses shape. The body starts to become distorted, and the fingers also do the same thing. Read on.
Symptoms include light-colored or red skin patches with reduced sensation, numbness, and weakness in hands and feet.
What else you got?
Also causes blisters, loss of color, rashes, ulcers, or redness, reduced sensation of touch, pins and needles, or loss of temperature sensation.
Well, and quite often, because of the fact that you lose nerve sensation in the fingers, you quite often damage your fingers and you burn yourself quite often. So you start to lose your fingers, and it affects the fingers and the toes because you don't have any more sensation in those areas because it could start affecting the nervous system and destroying the nervous system. They say leprosy can take up to 20 years to appear in somebody's body. They say, but usually it'll make an appearance within 5 years. But it's a long-standing, enduring, long-lasting disease. So what we're watching Naaman, who is a national hero, who deserves respect, who is a mighty warrior, full of glory and full of grandeur. But at the same time, he's what? He's a leper. So when you see him in his highly decorated uniform, what you see doesn't match his victories. What you see is in the individual of Naaman doesn't match his persona as a hero.
Because leprosy at that time was extremely shameful, right?
Yes, kind.
Distemper
Yes.
being shown and being presented.
Yeah, he's showing a distemper. So, but when you look at Naaman and you're watching this national hero, but when you're expecting a guy that quite often when you read about Naaman, he always rode around in a chariot, while most people were on foot. So here comes this guy in a chariot, a magnificent, highly decorated soldier, a captain of an army, empowered. But when you look at him, this guy was full of leprosy, full of skin spots, blotches, disease, melting away cartilage on his body, highly infectious, which at most times, most lepers would be ousted out of the congregation and removed from population because it is contagious. It is contagious through water droplets, through sneezing and coughing. That's how it is highly contagious. So what you see in Naaman doesn't match his track record. What you see in glory and pomp and prestige doesn't match the physicality of what's wrong with the man. Doesn't match. He says, so amongst all the glory and the pomp, there lies the leprosy. Now, Matthew Henry says two things. He says, no man's greatness or honor or interest or valor or victory can set him out of reach of the sorest calamities of human life. So no matter how much you think you are, what level you think you're on, you're never too far away from the worst conditions of human life. You're never out of reach, no matter what position you play, what role you have, what money you possess, the highest rank that you possess. You're never too far away from the sorest calamities. He says, there is many a sickly, crazy body under rich and gay clothing. Meaning, there's a lot of people that got a lot of money, but they're sick. Yeah. So the lifestyle that they live or they have doesn't match their condition. There's this dynamic where you may feel like you're on a level, but your condition says otherwise. You may feel like you're high and mighty, but your condition says otherwise.
Doesn't show that.
It doesn't reflect that.
Wow.
That's number one.
So I don't my mindset doesn't match my life.
It doesn't match. Just like Stephen Hawkins. Stephen Hawkins was an astrophysicist who understood the theory of relativity, who understood a lot of Einstein's theories, and a cosmologist who Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is coming to San Antonio in a couple of weeks, who uses, and he speaks so highly of Stephen Hawkins. But this is a guy whose brain power and computing power and theories didn't match his physical condition. And if you know Stephen Hawkins, he had to use a machine because he had a debilitating nerve disorder that eventually crippled him. He had to use a machine to speak for him, to formulate letters by using little movements on his mouth. He had a special made device that can make sounds, and his voice became computer generated. You may look at nebulous at this time of year, and you will see the horizon over Mars. It is possible that within 20 million light years we'll be able to. He had a computer generated voice, and he had no mobility in his body. And he could only move his lips, and he was always like this. He'd be at Hugh Hefner parties At the Playboy Mansion like this.
He's funded. He's funded.
I think I like what I see. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
But he was funded. He was at the parties though.
He was at those parties
because he was funded, bro. Because they funded him for his mind.
They funded him for his mind, but with all his mental prowess and mental capabilities, with all his intelligence, it didn't match his condition. It didn't match his physical stature. The man couldn't move. He couldn't move, and he could only move his lips very tiny amount. But a lot of times, what he's saying is, no matter how a person thinks themselves to be, there's also a reality and a truth that is opposite of how they see themselves or how they wish to be seen.
Wow.
So for those that know Stephen Hawkins, if you don't, check him out. Number 2, he says, every man has some but or other in his character. Meaning, man, that's a good brother, but, man, that brother's giving, but, man, that brother is charitable, but, if you need something, you go to that brother, but, he said every man possesses some but or some other. Meaning you have good qualities, but there's also something that evades those good qualities and that withdraws the nostalgia or respect that you desire. It stands in opposition to that. He says, and every man has some but or other in his character, something that blemishes and diminishes him, some alloy, which we read about last week. He says an alloy is a baser metal mixed with a finer metal.
It's a low degree.
He said every man has some good metal in him, something good attributes about him. He said, but also some men are mixed with the baser metal or less valuable metal. He said every man got some alloy in him. Now we read last week because we were talking about the same kind of topic, but Philo said it's almost impossible. Read this right here.
Agree?
Yeah.
All right. For there is nothing which is wholly free from alloy.
He says there's nothing. He said there is nothing which is wholly completely free from what?
Alloy.
Meaning, or alloy, which means no man is perfect. There's imperfections in all of us. There's imperfections. You may have your good attributes. You may have the sides about you that make you shine. You may have aspects of you that stand out above other people in certain aspects or character. He said, but that doesn't mean that you're perfect. Read.
It says, what is spurious, getting the better of what is genuine.
He said there's always something contrary that's an antithesis or getting the best of what's genuine. Read.
And what is plausible of what is true.
He said there's always some doubt. Even when you think a man is speaking what?
True.
There's always something to doubt. Because man isn't perfect. Read.
Which things in their nature are false.
He said there's some things that are in their nature are false, although it may look true. Read on.
Yeah. But which suggest plausible imaginations to the engendering of deceit in cities.
You got plausible imaginations, that you got men with good desires, and then you got the actual reality of the deceit that's going on. You got what may sound good, but that's not really good in practice. He said every man possesses this admixture. This alloy is what he's calling it. Both Philo is calling it that, and Matthew Henry is calling it that. These are individuals who study man, who understand man's mind. He said they all have this admixture of good and bad concepts or good and bad character. Just like we're reading about Naaman, who is who's a national Syrian hero, but at the same time he's ugly to look at. You don't really want to set your eyes on him or you don't want to get too close to him.
You'll fight with him though,
because he'll infect you.
Yeah.
He's carrying an infectious disease. He said, but all men have this admixture. All men have this alloy. or this finer metal commingle with this baser,
Weaker.
lesser, weaker level metal.
Yeah. Weak elements.
What he said, and when we read Paul said the same thing in 2 Corinthians when he said the Most High gave me a thorn in the flesh.
Yeah.
You know what the thorn in the flesh is? Although the Most High is using me as a vessel, there's always something to keep me humble. I have just enough situations and conditions that's wrong with my scenario that's keeping me humble. You know what that means? Why be prideful then?
I don't have the reason to. I don't have like the basis to be
Why be prideful?
arrogant. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. If each and every one of us got some admixture or some weak elements that stand against our good character, then what's the purpose of walking around like with arrogance? Knowingly that we got enough flaws within ourselves that we need to be working on. There's no perfect individual. So why have pride? What's the benefit of pride when you know you got some parts in you that's no good? As if you've perfected those areas. It's unnecessary to walk around with pride. That's what Paul said, I got a thorn in my flesh, meaning I got something that's wrong with me to keep me humble. Paul said that whatever was going on with his eye, he asked the Most High 3 times to remove it from him. And Christ said, you know what? My grace is sufficient for thee. Meaning, you know what? Keep that eye dilemma. Deal with it. He said people would not look at Paul, want to look at Paul a certain way because his eye was gruesome. Whatever he had going on with his eye wasn't good to look at. But he said, man, you know what? The Most High gave me that thorn in the flesh. So that he says, because of the multitude of the revelations which has been revealed to me, he says, Satan has buffeted me. Keep me humble. He said, something got to keep me humble. So yes, there's an aspect of each and every one of us that should keep us humble at all times. And it's the part of us that's wrong with us that should keep us humble. Yes, sir.
Sometimes those strengths, they might not even be perceived strengths. They might be actual strengths. They'll be strength when you're by yourself, because you could think fast, work fast, talk fast on, let's say, a job. But when you have somebody new and you're trying to train them up, you can't think fast, work fast, talk fast. You got to slow it down. So you can't work at your own pace. So you can't really have that shine. And you got to have that more patience with that somebody. It will work against you.
It'll work against you. Quite often, when you read the scriptures, the Most High will use a situation that's paradoxical, like we're reading about Naaman. What paradox means, it may sound absurd, but yet it is true. Like Paul said in go to 1 Corinthians chapter 4 and go to verse 11. No, I'm sorry, go to Acts chapter 4 verse 11. Go to Acts chapter 4 verse 11.
Acts chapter 4, verse 11.
Read that.
This is the stone which was set for naught of you builders, which has become the head of the corner.
So it's what the Pharisees didn't see the value in as far as Christ, because they crucified Christ. He said, y'all didn't see the value in him. He said, but this is actually the head of the cornerstone, or become the chief cornerstone that y'all didn't put into your building, that you choose to build without. Because the way you looked at him, you didn't see him the right way. You didn't see him as the Messiah. Remember, Christ came on a donkey. He said there was nothing comely about him that man desired. He was a man of no reputation. There was nothing that you said, when you saw Christ, man, I want to be like him, or I want to look like him. There's a lot of times when we don't understand what the Most High is doing, and a carnal eye don't see things the right way. Christ was also that paradox where men misperceived him and thought he was absurd, but yet he was the Messiah. Because we don't see things the right way. Our estimations are always false. He told them the same thing. He said, go to Mark Go to Mark chapter 9, verse 12. He told them the same thing based upon how they looked at John the Baptist. Or better yet, Elijah. Go to Mark chapter 9, verse 12.
God, Mark chapter 9, verse 12. And he answered and told them, Elias verily cometh first.
He said Elijah already came. Read verse 11.
God, verse 11. And they asked him, saying, Why say the scribes that Elias must first come?
So the Pharisees asked Christ, why they say that Elijah must first come? Read.
Then he answered and told them, Elias verily come first, and restoreth all
He
things.
said Elijah did come first before the Messiah and restored all things. Read on.
And how is it written of the Son of Man that he must suffer many things and be set at naught?
And y'all gonna dismiss me. Read on.
Verse 13, But I say unto you that Elias is indeed come, and they have done unto him whatsoever they listed.
And they didn't recognize Elijah. Because a lot of times the Most High uses a paradoxical situation to confuse the minds of men. Men's judgment isn't always accurate. He said Elijah the prophet did come, and they did to him whatever that they wanted him to do. They did to him whatever they wanted. They killed him. They beheaded him. They didn't know he was talking about John the Baptist. Matthew chapter 11, verse 11 verifies that. Read that, Matthew chapter 11, verse 11.
Matthew chapter 11, verse 11. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he.
Read on.
And from the days of John the Baptist unto now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence,
Go ahead.
and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if ye will receive it,
He said if you could believe it, a lot of people couldn't believe it. What?
this is Elias,
He said this is Elias, which is Greek for Elijah. Read.
which was for to come.
That was said by the prophets that was going to come before the coming day of the Lord. He says this is Elijah. But y'all don't recognize Elijah. Elijah didn't come in a form that you recognize. See, the Most High, the problem that we have is we don't look at things as based upon the truth of what they are. We misappropriate things based upon false estimation, and that's what pride will do.
Yeah.
Pride will not allow you to see the truth in things for what they really are. That's why pride is so unnecessary. That's why pride is so unhealthy. It distorts your perception of what is true. And you never see it. So pride is an unduly high opinion of oneself. That's why you gotta attack and get rid of the pride that's in you, because it distorts your perception. You don't see things the right way. And we're gonna find this out in Naaman. That because of his pride, he's unable to see things the right way. He's unable to receive counsel the right way. He's unable to trust what he's told the right way. He's unable to believe what he's being shown as medicine the right way. He's become unbelieving because of his pride.
That makes him dysfunctional.
It makes him dysfunctional. Pride makes us all dysfunctional. And we're gonna show this example.
Wow.
Go back to 2 Kings chapter 5 and jump down to verse 11.
Come.
To verse 8. 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 8.
2 Kings chapter 5 and verse 8 reads, And it was so, when Elisha, the man of the Most High, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariots.
He said he came with his what?
Horses and with his chariot.
He said this man was a leopard, but he was a victor in war. So his pride and his ego and his arrogance It didn't really match what you saw when he showed up. Read.
Come. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times.
He said, do what?
Go and wash in Jordan 7 times.
So here's a man who is a hero, who has need of assistance, who needs help. But his arrogance is not allowing him to understand what Elisha is telling him. He just told him, go wash in the Jordan what?
7 times.
And what happens?
And thy flesh shall come again to thee.
It says, and you will be fully restored. Real simple. Real easy advice. And that's how things are when it comes to counsel. Sometimes you get a counsel, but it sounds too simple.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, no problem. No, hold tight. We're gonna wrap it up. Hold tight. We're gonna make it quick. Read.
Come. And thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean.
He says your flesh gonna come back. That means this dude's flesh. Remember what leprosy does? It eats the cartilage away. It dissolves the tissue, the lips, the nose, the ears, and you get these severe scabs and sores on your body. He said, and your flesh shall come again. Real simple advice. The problem is, when advice or counsel is too simple, we don't take heed to it. 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3.
That's a major distortion we have in the mind. If it's too easy, then it's not true.
What makes it not true?
2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 3.
That's real. That happened to me a couple times. Though. This is simple advice. Like it can't be.
Mm-hmm. We don't rip it up. Yeah, it's simple advice, but how come the simple advice we can't listen to simple advice? Read that right there. 2 Corinthians 11 and 3.
God, but I fear lest by any means.
He says, I fear lest by any means. Go ahead.
As the serpent beguiled Eve.
He says, this is the same thing in the same way that the serpent tricked Eve.
Yeah.
Did the serpent use a masterful, very deep, hard to figure out strategy to get Eve to deceive Eve?
No.
No. You know what? He said, I fear that what?
Lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your minds should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in Christ.
You know what makes Christ's doctrine easy to follow? All you have to do is be obedient to it.
That's it.
And you reap the fruit. We're the ones that complicate the advice. We're the ones that complicate the counsel. We're the ones that take counsel, and because our pride says, man, I already thought of that. Or I don't see how that's going to work. I already thought about that. That's not going to work. Man, that counsel is not deep enough.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You know what? I thought you was about to give me a 2 hour. I thought we were about to go into a 2 hour counsel. I was expecting a 2 hour counsel. But you gave me 5-minute counsel and you closed the door. You didn't take me serious. You didn't take my problem serious. You blew me off. And that's what our pride says when we get counsel. Remember, the Most High said, do nothing without advice. Why do we do things without advice? Because the advice sometimes is so simple, we feel like, man, there's no way that simple advice is going to work.
No way.
No way.
So we don't even try it.
So we don't even try it. And a lot of times, this is our number one enemy to getting success after getting counsel is that we undermine the value of the counsel because we say, nah, that wasn't deep enough. That wasn't no deep counsel, bro. I thought you was going to give me a plan. I was ready to sit down and I got my notebook. I got my pen out. I'm about to take notes. I'm about to think you about to go over 25 verses and scriptures to tell me my problem. And you told me my problem in 30 seconds. But no, that's too quick, man. I don't believe that. That's too simple. That's what happens when you got pride. It doesn't match. The counsel don't match who you think you are. And that's Naaman's issue. Based on his perception and who he feels like who he is, based on the victories he's won, you need to do more to remove my leprosy. That's not good enough. Read that again, let that go, and go back to 2 Kings chapter 5.
Come. 2 Kings chapter 5. In verse 8 again, right?
Yes, sir. Verse 10.
Okay, verse 10. Come. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth.
He said he was what?
Was wroth.
He says a lot of times when we take counsel, he said we don't like the counsel.
That's crazy. He's like a normal brother.
Yeah. We don't like the counsel, bro. He said he was wroth at the counsel. He just gave him a prescription that was going to heal him from his dissolving flesh. And he didn't like the counsel. Read.
But Naaman was wroth and went away.
And he was angry and he turned away. Why? Why would a man get a counsel to solve his problems, and he would reject the counsel that would actually be the remedy for his situation?
Great question.
He thought it was too simple. He felt like, come on, that can't be all. That can't be all to the remedy. There's got to be more.
Yes, sir.
He didn't hear what he wanted to hear.
He didn't hear what he wanted to hear.
It didn't fit his ego.
It didn't fit his ego. Didn't match his ego. Matthew Henry says we take counsel with much ado. Get that definition. ADO. He said we take counsel with much ado. ADO. It's a simple word. What does it mean? Ado.
Ado. 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Bust. Trouble.
He said we take counsel with what?
Trouble.
He said we take counsel with what?
Trouble.
He says we take it with what?
Trouble.
Do we make counsel easy? We make counsel hard. We complicate counsel. We complicate the answers to our problems when it's coming from somebody that's telling us, just do this. He said we take counsel with much ado, which is much trouble. What else?
Labor. Difficulty.
He said we take counsel with much difficulty. We make it hard for people to give us simple counsel because it doesn't match how we look at it, how we look at the situation. We make the most simplest counsel a Rubik's Cube. We complicate it because it doesn't match how we look at it. Man, that ain't how I feel. It doesn't align with the way I look at it. I don't see how that's gonna work. Versus even doing it, versus even trying it. We make it more difficult than what it is. We already dismiss it and say it's not gonna work before we even get told what to do. Man, I don't know if I can do that. Yeah, but you haven't even tried. You're already saying it's not going to work. You're already saying this is not good enough for you. Let that go and go back to...
That ain't it.
That ain't it. That ain't it. But that's how we perceive it. Go back to Matthew chapter 5, verse 11. Or verse 12. No, verse 11.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 11.
Read that.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 11. Blessed are ye.
I'm sorry. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 11. I'm sorry, not Matthew. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 11.
Con, 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 11 reads, But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought he will surely come to me.
He said, I what?
I thought.
He said, I what?
Thought.
What's wrong with men getting simple counsel?
I thought.
What makes counsel difficult?
I thought.
What makes easy counsels troublesome?
I thought.
What do men interfere with the simplest counsel?
I thought.
What do you call that when a man responds with, I thought?
A duly held opinion.
It's pride, man. This is what destroys the progress that we should be making in life. It'd be the easiest counsel set up for you to follow the most easiest, simplest instruction. And we interfere and we destroy the progress and the benefits of the counsel with simply saying, I thought. I don't agree. I don't see it your way. I don't see how that's going to work. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't match my opinion. I don't agree with it. It is the medicine and the answers to your situation, and you disavow and deny the medicine because you interfere your thoughts with the medicine. And this is why counsels they fall on deaf ears, and there's no effect at the end of the counsel. This is why a lot of people don't see the benefits of the counsel. Some men do, some men don't. But a lot of people collude the counsel with, I thought. You just destroyed the counsel. You destroyed the remedy. You destroyed the answers and the solutions to your problems. You're the one with the leprosy. Did you forget? You're the one with the sickness. Did you forget? You're the one with the admixture of a lesser valuable metal that's keeping you from being esteemed or moving forward in the spirit. You're the one with problems. Did you forget? But we do. He's showing you how something as simple as go wash in the Jordan 7 times, your skin will come back. He said, man, I'm out of here.
He didn't like that.
I'm out of here, bro. I'm leaving. I came all the way over here with all these chariots, with all these horses, with all these soldiers, just to go be told take a bath? You're insulting my intelligence. You're just telling me to go take a bath. That's supposed to solve all my problems? Go bathe? I got leprosy. You ain't got no ointments. You ain't got no remedies. You ain't got no specialized medicine. All you did was tell me to take a bath. Read.
But Naaman was wroth and went away and said, behold, I thought he will surely come out to me and stand and call all.
Why would he think that Elijah should come out to meet him?
How esteemed he was.
Because what we want is, we want people to deal with us based upon our false estimation of ourselves. I want you to talk to me a certain way. And it better match my false estimation of who I am. I want you to treat me a certain way. Because it better match the false estimation of who I think I am. Does he not know who I am? Does he not know I'm a war hero? Yeah, but you got dissolving skin. You're not who you think you are. And you got a fatal disease untreated. But we'll say, you know what? You're not talking to me right. You're not treating me right. You're not dealing with me based upon who I think I am. He said, I thought he would come outside and meet me. Read on.
Come, I thought he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord, his power.
He said, I thought you would do a show. Read.
And strike his hand over the place.
And I thought that you would clap your hands over the place and do a magic trick. And then boom, the leprosy would be gone. Not go take a bath. It doesn't match my expectation. Your counsel don't match my expectation. Especially not based on how I see myself. Read on.
And recover the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel?
Now, he's saying, man, if it was just about taking a bath, why not take a bath in the best waters? In geography, in antiquity, these two rivers, they come together in Syria. They come together in Damascus. And they have a name called Chrysophorius, or Chrysoporus in Greek or Syrian tongue. that name means the golden stream. So where these two rivers meet at, in antiquity, that river was known as, when they meet together, as the golden stream amongst history. So if he's saying, if I'm gonna take a bath anywhere, and if I'm gonna get my leprosy off me, it's gonna be in the golden stream. How come I couldn't take a bath in the golden streams, which is the best water of antiquity, was known to the Syrians as the best water of antiquity? You should have sent me to the best place, because I deserve the best. That's how we take counsel. I deserve the best. Don't you know who you're talking to? You better talk to me a certain way. You better treat me a certain way, and I deserve the best of what you have to offer, or the best of your advice. Otherwise, I can't follow it. I could have took a bath over there. Read on.
Come. Are not Abana and Sharpar rivers of Damascus better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And his servants came near and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldst thou not have done it?
He said, if he would have told you to climb a acacia tree and jump off the third branch from the bottom, you would have did it. Read.
How much rather then, when he said to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the name Salakia, of the man of the Most High, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And he
was what?
Clean.
And he was clean. Why did that simple advice work?
He followed it.
Because he followed it. Give me Psalm chapter 138, verse 6. So a lot of times the advice that we receive, the counsel we receive, it doesn't match our persona. It doesn't match our ego to who we think we are. Therefore, we dismiss the counsel. But it is actually, a lot of times, the remedy and the solution to our issues. But we dismiss it. How many counsels have we said at naught? How many counsels and advice sessions that we received that we said, nah, I ain't going to do that. I don't agree with it. Psalms 138, verse 6.
Psalms chapter 138, verse 6. Though the Most High be high.
It says, though the Most High be high. The Most High is on a different level than us. Read on.
Yet hath he respect.
It says, but the Most High knows that our ways isn't his ways, and our thoughts isn't his thoughts. He knows there's a separation. He knows he thinks on a different level than us. He says, but still, he said he'll have respect to who?
Yet hath he respect unto the lowly.
If I remain humble, even though the Most High's perspective don't make sense to me, and his thoughts are higher than my thoughts, if I remain humble, he'll have respect to the lowly. Read on.
But the proud he knoweth afar off.
It says, but the proud he can recognize what?
He knoweth afar off.
He knows you weren't going to follow that advice.
A mile away.
He gave you the answers already to your problems a long time ago. But a lot of times he also knew that due to your pride, you weren't going to follow that advice. Therefore, the advice wasn't going to work for you. He knew that because of the pride that exists in us, and he knows when the advice and the counsel is going to work and when it don't. A lot of times we had the answers to our problems a long time ago. We were given the answers to our problems a long time ago. But we've been rejecting it, and we wonder why we're still in the same situation. And we wonder why we're still sick. Or we got the same problem. You know why? Because that pride has interfered with the medicine. Isaiah chapter 57, verse 15. Last verse, because we got something to counsel about. Last verse. Isaiah chapter 57, verse 15. Who got it?
Isaiah chapter 57 and verse 15.
57.
Isaiah 57. Sorry. What was that verse?
15.
Verse 15. For thus said the high and lofty one that inhabited eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place.
The Most High said, I dwell in the high and holy place. Read.
With him also that is of contrite and humble spirit.
He said, but if a person is humble enough, he says, I'll pull them up to my level. He said, but they have to have a contrite and what?
Humble spirit.
Contrite means broken or feel sorrow for past actions as to not repeat them. Lowly, somebody that's willing to follow with ease. They can follow with ease. He said contrite and what?
Contrite and humble spirit.
Read.
To revive the spirit of the humble.
He said, I'll revive the spirit of what?
Of the humble.
If they humble, I'll revive their spirit, just like Naaman. It took him to be humble.
Wow.
And then through his humility, his flesh was brought back as the skin of a baby, as a newborn baby. The Most High said, I'll do the same thing. I'll revive the spirit of the what?
Revive the spirit of the humble.
This shows why men are just not restored.
It just shows you why men still got spiritual leprosy.
Yeah.
Because the leprosy we're reading about is physical. But when you dive into the topic of leprosy, a lot of times leprosy is a disease specifically inflicted to show a spiritual flaw. It's the reflection of a spiritual flaw, which the Most High gives a person that possesses an extremely overwhelming amount of pride. All you have to do is read about King Uzziah. When you read about King Uzziah, you'll find out that with all his military prowess, with all his inventions, with all of his intelligence, he also possessed an unduly amount of pride, which caused him to get buried, not in the city of kings, not to be buried with the previous kings. He went out, he died ingloriously. He had to be separated and ousted from the rest of the population his final years of his rulership, and had to be replaced, and died isolated, died in isolation, although he was a national hero. So a lot of times that leprosy is significant to a spiritual disease, which is pride. So although we're reading about Naaman and his physical leprosy, what spiritually remains is the part of us that doesn't get clean due to the fact that we don't have enough humility to allow the Most High to revive us of that flaw. Our healing all comes down to our humility. Finish that last part.
God. And to revive the heart of the contrite one.
And the Most High said He'll restore and bring back to life the hearts of the what?
Contrite one.
So the healing, the medicine to life, it lies in our ability to be humble and eradicate our pride, which prevents us from being in agreement to the Most High's counsels and His advice. Therefore, we stay sick for a long time. We stay sick longer. That's why the class is called Pride, the Handmaid, Snare of Mankind. It's self-paced. It's self-created. I'm only in this condition that I've been in as long as I don't have the ability to be humble. As long as I am prideful. When the minute you decide to discard your pride is the minute the Most High can start rebuilding and fixing all the things that's wrong in your life. But you got to oust your pride first.
Oh.
So with that, we're going to go ahead and say shalom. We'll see you on Friday. We have to get into a council real quick. Shalom, everybody online. The water for watching. All right? Shalom.